Hi, and welcome to the KYHorsePower channel. I'm your host, Todd Galloway. Before we jump into our first video, we'd like to take a minute to introduce you to the channel and let you know a little bit about what we're doing here. So our videos will be about local car owners and car-related businesses in our area. Our goal is to give the everyday guy a chance to showcase his hard work and dedication to the hobby we all love that he may otherwise never get the chance to. So every week we'll interview a car owner, we'll do a detailed walk around of their cars, and we'll take them for a ride. And you know that means some burnouts and hard pulls. We plan to start out in eastern Kentucky, but as the channel grows, we'll expand to a larger area. So if you like what you just heard, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel and check back next week for more content. So now we'll head to Rush, Kentucky to check out Daniel Thacker's 1962 Chevy Nova, also known as the Shitbox Chevy 2.
What's your name and where are you from there?
My name's Daniel Thacker, and I'm from Ashland, Kentucky. I live in Rush.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a pipe fitter by trade, just a broke-ass pipe fitter.
Now, what's the make and model of your car here?
So it's a 62 Nova. Everybody calls them a Chevy 2. First year, two-door hardtop car. That's what it started out as.
Did it got a nickname?
Everybody calls it the Shitbox Chevy 2. It kind of lives up to its name on the shitbox part.
Now, did you buy it to build, or you just buy it to, did this snowball from something else?
I mean, really, my dad always liked these cars, and like when I was younger, I wasn't a big fan of them. I run across this one that the guy turned into a really good friend of mine, Cody Terry's who we got it from. But anyways, I inquired about it because Dad always liked them, and the car was already back halved. Had a 10-bolt rear end in it, 305. The windshield wasn't in it, seats wasn't bolted down. Come with a bunch of parts, and I drove it on the trailer. It didn't have accessories on it, and I was like, well, I'll start out and I'll put a 5.3 in it with a carburetor because that's what everybody's wanting to do. And LS swap this thing and drive it, and then it just kind of escalated from there. I blew up a bunch of motors and kept trying to build stuff better, and yeah, now it's here.
Typical hot rod.
Yeah.
Now, what engines you got? What engine you got in it now, and drivetrain?
Well, right now as it sits, it's a Forge 370. It's got Racetech flat top pistons, Scat H-beam rods, and a stock crank, 24X crank. They are 317 heads that are shaved just a little bit. I'm about 10.5 to 1 compression, 91 millimeter turbo, 4-inch air-to-water intercooler, and it runs on E85.
What transmission?
Power glides, BT power glides, BT billet converter. Converter and stuff's been in the car for about 2 years. It's done really good. Transmission's fresh. I just went to the 180 gear set, then I Ultra Bell on it. Never had any problems with it before as far as that goes, but it should have good trans in it. Rear end's a 12-bolt, Mark Williams, 35 spline axles. I done disc brakes on it, and I decided I was going to do 12-inch big brakes because, you know, they stop better, right? So good idea at the time. Now I've got some wheels, and I can't get the wheels on there because the bead locks won't fit over the brakes. So that's the next thing is redoing brakes.
It's always something.
Always something. It never fails.
Now, did you build it yourself, or do you have help?
God, man, I've had so much help building this car, it's not even funny. Pretty much everybody that I know has been over here and helped me turn wrenches or go pick up a motor or order parts or something. Right. Like, it's a list I can't even.
Yeah, it's the same way on my car. You have to sit there and think and think.
You do.
And think.
You do.
Did it turn out the way you pictured when you started on it, or?
No, not really. I never dreamed I'd have anything that made this kind of power. I don't know. I guess like as a kid, you always want something with big tires and something obnoxious sticking through the hood, and it makes lots of noise, you know. And that's pretty much what I went for. I wanted something loud and obnoxious and fun to drive.
It's definitely fun. If you had to do all over, would you change anything?
I don't know. I guess if I was going to do it all over, I don't know that I would change anything. I guess I would have went a little bit different direction on some stuff and done it right the first time. I've learned a lot of lessons as far as doing stuff right the first time or doing it a different way. I've had to redo a lot, just like the brakes, you know. But if I was going to build another car, I think I would want to build something that was big block nitrous to be street car or something to play around with. But I love it. I mean, I wouldn't change it. I'm glad that I've done it now, but it's been a long, hard road getting it to work right. And I still blow stuff up all the time.
Well, yeah, expensive lessons. I've had a bunch of them myself.
Yeah.
So who or what got you into cars? Was this something you was...
I don't know, like, I guess my papaw worked on old cars and trucks, and then my dad had some old cars and trucks and hot rods, and my first vehicle was a 64 C10, and me and my dad had the motor done. Kenny Heeman's down here on Route 5, buddy of ours, and it was a round track motor we bought that had a spun bearing, and we done that, put that motor in that truck, and I drove it back and forth to high school, you know what I mean? It was fun, it sounded good, and it was different, and I think that's kind of what got it started, and like, ever since then, I've always had a thing for it. That's perfect thing.
Nah, it don't matter, hell. We're, this is just us sitting in the garage. So, who got you into drag racing?
Man, I don't know. I just started seeing a lot more people was getting into cars, and you see this stuff out that's fast, and I go back to that sound good thing, because when you're younger, that's what it's about. You want to hear that big lopey cam and stuff,
Right.
and I don't know. The car people that you meet are good people. Like, it's a good group of guys for the most part. You always got the guys that are, you know, kicking each other in the nuts, but it's fun. That's why we do it, I guess.
What's your best car-related memory?
I don't know. That's kind of a hard decision there. I mean, I would say one of the best feelings was the first time I felt something with nitrous. You know how you, like, there's just some of those moments you don't forget.
Oh, yeah. You're not expecting it.
Yeah, and like the first time that I sprayed this car when it run nitrous, I had two small shots. It was a 150 and a 175 on it. And it was one of those deals where we tuned it on two kits, but like, and the car felt good on 150 or whatever. And we decided I was like, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna spray it and see what happens. And we hit it, and I'll never forget the way that it pulled. You know what I mean? That was one thing that really sticks out.
Yeah.
And I've wanted to go faster ever since. I haven't went much faster, but I tried.
What's your funniest drag racing story? Or car-related story?
I've got a bunch, but we were talking about one last night. So Justin Perrine's got an F-body. It's a clean car, like a 400 horsepower LS1 automatic car, and it runs good. It's on a tire. And like, I had this thing, if I ain't mistaken, it was still, I think it was the 6 liter that was fuel injected. It was it was a nitrous car at the time, but I was trying to run on motor. And we'd stopped on Route 5. And if anybody around here knows Route 5, it's a pretty curvy road, but there's some straight stretches. So we get out there and we line up and do a burnout, pull up. He honks it off and we take off, and like, I feel a weight transfer, and then it was like the car nosedive, goes sideways. I didn't know what was going on really. So I get it off the road and I get to looking, and I had left my line lock on my front tires. So my front tires were locked whenever I let off the trans brake, and it one tire caught more than the other, and it just jerked. And so I felt like a pretty big dumbass. But he beat me, and it was a good time. It was fun.
Yeah, we've all been there. So, what was your best day drag racing ever? Something that really just sticks out in your mind, like it was just the greatest.
Well, I had a G8 that I outrun a Hellcat in, and I was pretty excited about that. 'Cause we were at KD, and this guy's got this brand new, you know, whatever it was, 707 horsepower Hellcat. And I had that G8 at the time, and I mean, I sprayed 150 shot on it. This guy didn't know that. So, like, I had it on a street tire, 19-inch street tire, stock wheels, and I'd been running down the track that day, and I hadn't sprayed it, and I'd watched this Hellcat. Well, he come up to me, and he wanted to race, and I was like, well, yeah, I'm all about it, you know what I mean? And, of course, I'm going to turn the bottle on, you know? So we get out there, and we made a hit, and I beat that Hellcat, and I was so pumped because I had this four-door, you know, 4,300-pound car, and I put a small gap on a 700 horsepower brand new car. A guy comes up to me, and he was wondering what I had done to it. He's like, there's no way that thing gonna have a power adder and this and that. But yeah, that was one that really sticks out. That was a good day.
What's the car you regret selling the most? What's the car that got away?
I wish I still had my first vehicle. Was that 64 C10, just because like Grandpa, Dad, me all worked on it, sentimental, like to have it back. But the G8 was one that was a really good car that I kind of wish I'd held on to, because I beat the hell out of it. You know, 150 shot, and I probably put 100 bottles of nitrous through it, and never skipped a beat. Like, I never had any issues with it. Those are probably the two that I wish I'd held on to.
Last question, and we can pull this thing out, get a good look at it, and maybe take her for a spin. How long do you see yourself doing this? How long do you see yourself keep building cars and racing?
I don't know, to be honest. That's kind of a tough one. I think it'll always, like, I'll always have part of me that wants to go fast and, you know what I mean, have fun, do race car stuff. I don't know that I'll always be into it to the extent that I am now. Like, I wouldn't mind, you know what I mean, having another street car or something to go out and cruise around, and it's not quite as radical.
Well, a lot of people do that. They'll build a car, and then it'll get to a point that it's just hard to drive.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's at that level, and then they want something to get back a little slower and enjoyable.
It's not even so much the level. Like, I can turn the boost down, but it's still, you're putting wear and tear on parts that are a whole lot more expensive.
Right.
But now, at this point, I'm kind of like, man, I'd like to have one that looks good. And I mean, this one looks a little rough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got good parts on it, but it looks a little rough.
Yeah, that's the character of it.
But if I fix it and paint it, then it wouldn't be a shitbox no more.
Oh yeah, it's definitely workable. You definitely got some room for improvements to make it look beautiful. Well, what you say we take a look at this car and then maybe let her breathe a little bit?
No, let's pull it out.
So here it is, 62 Chevy 2. You can see the badge there on the side. Everybody calls it the shitbox. 376 liter forged. Race Tech hooked me up with a set of pistons, flat tops. We're about 10.5 to 1 compression on this. It's a VS Racing one that they, I guess, I don't know if they're just testing or what, but it's something a little bit different. It's a 91-103 VS Racing turbo. Pretty good sponsor to have on the team for this next season. Car makes good power. It's 4-inch air to water, runs on E85 Bosch 210 injectors. Stock block, stock crank, stock manifolds on it. That's pretty well it on the engine part of it. Transmission is a 180 BTE Glide. It's got all their goodies in it. They built it, it works. John Ed Cornwell's another one of my transmission guys that helps me out a whole lot. Between those two, managed to keep a transmission in the car for the most part. Run MS3 Pro engine management system. They got on board with me about 2 years ago. And like, it's a steady learning curve with it, but I like it. I enjoy messing with it. I've learned a lot on the car by messing with it and doing my own tune. That's pretty much it. It's still street car. It's factory dash and floors that are thicker than the factory ones. And right now I've got some dirt track tires on there so we can go do burnouts. guys, thanks for watching, and big thanks to Daniel for letting us come film his car. I had an absolute blast in that thing. I'm so glad we got to film it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Make sure to tune in next week when we go see John Folks. Check out his 2012 Ford Mustang GT California Special. That'll be a good time. Make sure you don't miss it. Until then, just keep driving fast, stay safe.